ultimately, I don't see highly proficient writers being replaced by AI or by weaker writers using AI because while the AI is good for many things, it's not great at exploring very complex ideas or deep themes or maintaining a storyline over a long period of time or a large amount of text.
But that's I know what he's saying right now. It's clumsy, it's clunky. The AI generators, the text generators, they can't do full on narratives, and because there's all these continuity issues that happens when it tries to do like long form fiction. So yeah, I understand that, but that's kind of a moot point. I feel like I don't argue about that type. I never take that stance of like, oh, it's never going to replace me, because have you read what some of that stuff that AI is doing? But it's a moot point, and I'll say it's a moot point because that's just a technology thing. Yeah, I feel like as the technology improves, it's just a matter of time before the AI is capable of correcting continuity issues and taking care of any kind of potential plot holes in its own narrative that it generates. So there will come a time, I do believe that there will come a time where the technology will be so advanced that the AI will actually be able to tell a coherent story from beginning to end without any plot holes or continuity issues. But it's a moot point. That's not the point. The point of the matter is not art, though, because art is a human thing. Art is a human activity. It's culture. It's culturally based. So if everything's created by the AI, well, at that point, what is culture at that point? That's a very big philosophical question to ask yourself, to wonder. But we're not talking about that in this today.
So there's probably not a lot of people out there that are using AI at a high level for writing both fiction and business. And so I do use AI tools for both of those things.
Oh, there's the answer right there. Now I want to know, do you disclose that information to your clients before they hire you?
But I find it's much more useful and effective, and it replaces much more of the process.
But I will say that this isn't what you're talking about right now. You're tapping into that ethics side. You're starting to kind of edge into that ethics side. And now, based on what you're saying right here, I can already tell that you're probably going to have a little bit of a bias leaning when it comes to your ethical beliefs on this whole AI thing. And I can already tell you right now that your stance will not align with my stance as far as ethics go.
Just to briefly go over the way I see the ethics of using AI, I had someone who I was talking to about capitalism recently ask me what I thought the impact of artificial intelligence on capitalism is. And my answer was that with the state that AI is currently at, that's like asking what the impact of animal labor or the internal combustion engine was on capitalism. What I mean when I say that it's like asking what the impact of animals and combustion engines are on capitalism. Anytime that you add something to business or to capitalism, there's always a chance that it may have some impact on the amount or the quality of work that is required of humans. And there's many examples of that happening in history where something about the way that a lot of businesses operate is suddenly upgraded via technology. And then as a result of that, some people might lose jobs, some people might get new jobs, some people might start having to adopt a new skill in order to keep their job. And it's often looked at as a bad thing, and it certainly probably can be in certain circumstances. Uh, but there's this kind of strange perception that just because artificial intelligence is more new and advanced than anything we've seen in the past, that somehow that makes it bad. Whereas, having cars or bicycles or planes is seen as more acceptable. But of course, like anything else, I think that the ethics really depend on how it's used and what the goals are behind its use. So, as an example specific to AI writing, BuzzFeed recently announced that they are adopting AI writing to generate ideas and write the content for their articles. And a lot of people were kind of upset by that, I guess, because maybe that's going to mean that they can fire a lot of writers, that they don't need to have as many writers in order to generate all their content. And they might be upset because of that, or they might be upset because they like reading BuzzFeed articles and they like kind of the human aspect of them. They like the fact that they're written by other people about other people for them.
And that's the point that I'm stressing, is that it's actually written by a human being, and there are people out here that will continue to want that. So that's why I'm not afraid of the whole AI thing. Hey, you want to use AI, create a bunch of content? More power to you. All it means is that content created or material written by human beings becomes that much more valuable. Why? Because you're going to have a bunch of knuckle draggers that are just becoming accustomed to using the AI generative AI. And they're not going to know how to use their own imagination. They're not going to know how to do the writing for themselves. Maybe supplemental. Maybe they'll understand how to do like line editing, grammatical type stuff. But if they've never exercised their own imagination, you know, it's not going to be nearly as valuable to people who appreciate art and appreciate what art is. I know you're talking about copy here. I say perhaps with copy, it might not be as much of an issue, because with copy, it's just content. And I've said before, content is not the same as art. Art is separate from just content. They're not the same. So yeah, if you're just writing copy and it's just content, then really it just comes down to the substance, delivering the substance, the meat of the article, if you will, if it's an informative article. But if it's an editorial, I would argue that kind of is, it's not, if it's not in the same vein as art, it's definitely a branch of. You definitely got to have some creative writing skills, even when you're writing editorials, when you're writing opinion pieces, is what I'm assuming you're talking about here with BuzzFeed. It still takes some skill in creative writing, and you still have to put your imagination to work. So if you just have if you just have a bunch of knuckle draggers, basically just all they know how to do is just type in prompts, for our write article on sexism in workplace, enter, that person. And then even if they attribute the article to that person, it's still not going to be nearly, it's not going to have nearly the credence or the value as an article or a piece of work written 100% by a human being. And now we get a new thing added to the market that I don't think I've said before. I might have mentioned in passing, but I haven't really stressed it. And that's the 100% man-made seal of approval. Because all you're saying is just, hey, this was 100% made by a human being. No AI generation whatsoever. It's kind of like more in line with the whole GMO thing. GMO has been stigmatized. The genetically modified organisms or whatever products, the GMO products, that carries a lot of stigma. And I feel like, I don't know, the AI thing might have that same type of stigma, at least amongst people who take their work seriously, who appreciate and respect the craft of creative writing, that is, or art and illustration, that they can then feel proud to put that label on their work and say 100% man-made.